Hey, what's going on? So yeah, I figured while I had my G.I. Joe classified diorama all ripped to pieces, I'd take this chance to kind of go over some of the stuff that I've 3D printed for it. So yeah, starting off here, I printed these weapon racks. They're actually really cool. And all these, I think all these except for one I got off Thingiverse. So they were all free prints except for one, and I'll show you the one that I actually paid money for. But yeah, so I got these weapon racks. I might paint those Cobras on the front silver, but yeah, they hold a bunch of weapons. Obviously, they're weapon racks. But yeah, that was a quick and easy print. I think one of those took 8 hours to print. So, and you can scale them too. Usually a lot of guys will be like, for 1/18th, they say to scale it to 150%, but I do 165. Because, yeah, going on to the next thing, this HISS tank that I printed. So I printed this like literally right before they announced the HasLab. That seemed to happen with a couple things that I've done, but or not necessarily a HasLab, but Hasbro releases after I print it. But yeah, I love this HISS tank. I added some rails. I did the raised numbers and stuff on it. The turret actually moves. That's just one of those cheapy Snake Eyes movies, G.I. Joe figures in there. Till I get the actual one, but all the symbols and stuff, I printed those even. And actually, it was a set of Tonka bulldozer treads that fit right onto this thing. And it will roll. If I put it down on the floor and I wanted to roll it around, it will actually roll around. But yeah, pretty stoked. I didn't bother with the HasLab one just because I already had this one, and at the time I was just kind of getting into G.I. Joe. And I like this canopy way better than the one that's actually on the actual HasLab one. So yeah, that's my HISS tank I printed. And then also I've done, I print off like a whole bunch of these like consoles. Like I've got one there. I've got to add a little more color to it and stuff like that. But I'll quite often do that. I'll print something, get it kind of like started painting, and then I get back to it later. There's another little radar console back there. Also printed this Cobra Throne. So that'll be for Cobra Commander until I hopefully find a Serpentor someday. I'm really hoping they do like a vintage card release, but I don't know. I'm not going to worry about it too much. If they do, they do. And if they don't, they don't. And a lot of the other stuff, like the accessories, like these gates and stuff, these are all usually scaled for like wargaming. So I'll blow them up, or I throw them into like SolidWorks and I'll add a few more details and just kind of use the wireframe that's already there. Another thing I printed was the Stinger, and I printed it like right before they announced that they were actually releasing a Stinger. And I do have, I've got the actual Stinger on the way from Amazon, and at the time, this was actually just a vamp. So I used a print that I found for a pack rat for the missile launcher. I know it's not quite right, but it doesn't really matter to me. It doesn't have the covers of the doors or anything like that, but I think it turned out pretty good. I actually really like that print. And I'll do a lot of stuff like these stairs. And then like walls and stuff like that for like warfare. Right now I've just got a huge pile of G.I. Joes just kind of laying around. So one of the first things I like 3D printed ever was this like blown up version of the 1/18th bunker. But obviously it's in 1/12th. And you could tell at the time I really didn't know how to troubleshoot a 3D printer too well. Like the layers on this are horrible, but it actually kind of suits it, makes it look like it's made out of rock or like it's weathered or something. But yeah, that was just kind of part of the growing pains of printing, just kind of figuring out, like at the time I had no idea that once the little drive wheel and the extruder got all jammed up, like it didn't feed filament evenly. So that's what causes this in most cases. And then the Skyhawk, I did one of those. So yeah, this one actually, the canopy opens. I went with the more like modern version of the canopy as opposed to like the vintage version. The jet thrusters and everything swivel. It operates just like the original one actually. I've got to move it. It's a little too close. I've been pulling this apart, revamping it, doing all sorts of stuff to it. And then this next thing here, I'm going to pronounce this wrong. It's like a Biovac or something. I don't know. It's like that little tent fortress camp out set or whatever for G.I. Joe. But that turned out really good. I printed a bunch of bunks for it so they can camp in style. And then moving on here, so for the front doors, I've got a piece I got to put up over here and above to kind of close this in. But I got these doors that I printed for the front entrance to the old G.I. Joe HQ, and that's just styrofoam and stuff. And then in here, this is my main headquarters. Well, I guess the main floor of it. So I printed up the weapon rack, all that stuff. We've got a little table here so they can kind of work on their weapon loadouts and stuff. And then I've got this holographic battle map, and I've used it. Like, I've printed that one several times. I gave a few to Wentzilla. A few other people have gotten them. But yeah, I blew it up from 1/18th to 1/12th for this. And then this is the one print that I think I paid $4.99 for it. But it was this, like, it was on Cults 3D, and it was like a modular command center kind of setup. So you can print out all the TVs, the stands, the speakers, chairs, like whatever you want. You can kind of put it in your own configuration. So I've got, yeah, so that's like the main control center, command center, I guess. But yeah, those turned out really good. And then down here, I just got kind of like, I've printed off like lots of furniture for them, like tables. Like this is like, they're kind of like their common area. So they got their table. That couch is just made of wood. I didn't 3D print that. But that liquor cabinet thing there, that's all 3D printed. Nothing too spectacular. And then here's my vamp that I 3D printed right before they announced that they were coming out with a vamp. And I do like the classified vamp, like the official release is like a way nicer vehicle, but I do kind of like this one because it just reminds me of that vintage one that was just kind of bare bones, like attack Jeep sort of thing. So I'm all right with that for now, especially considering that vamp's going for way too much money on the secondary market. And then I did this Awe Striker, which I'm sure they'll come out with one soon for classified. The only thing I did differently here, it had the same tires as the vamp, but I thought, like, being a dune buggy, it should have more like ATV off-road tires. So I did that, and I figured it can fit in there. So it's real classified scale. So that's pretty cool. Another thing that I printed up was this Checkpoint Alpha. So that's it was a print of the 1/18th one, but I blew it up 165%. Got my own. I just kind of glued that fence there because I didn't really care if it like opened and closed. It was kind of a pain in the butt to get to fit tight enough just to swing. But no, yeah, it's pretty much exactly like the original Checkpoint Alpha. Well, it is exactly. I didn't put all the stuff on the top, but no, definitely very cool. You can definitely add a lot of cool stuff to my classified setup. So I think, yeah, in the next few days here, I'm going to get a video or get this put together, put a video together with some music, or maybe for once I'll just actually do like a walkthrough kind of thing. But yeah, for now, that's about it. And yeah, I'll see you next time.